Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the University of North Colorado. Thank you so much for joining us for our first UNC Talk session. My name is Bryson, and I'll be your host this afternoon. I am one of our students on campus making important access science, and I give those lovely campus to work for a couple different departments. I'm also a UNC Bear and being a part of UNC's history here on campus. Today's UNC Talk session is focusing on financial aid. I'll introduce our guests. I want to inform you that through our hashtag UNC Talks, you'll be able to ask questions on Facebook, Twitter, our web chat feature at unco.edu/admission, directly through links sent to your email. We will try to get through all the questions, but if we do not get through all of them, we will make sure to answer the questions through those social media platforms. All right, joining us today tomorrow, Justin Davis, and Rosales. Questions specific to financial aid. Hey guys, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Starting with Marty.
Hey Bryson, thanks a lot. It's nice to be able to talk to some hopeful future Bears. My name is Marty Samara. I'm the Director of Financial Aid up here at UNC. Been here about 5 years. It's a great school. Hopefully you'll find that we're all very helpful and wanting to answer your questions tonight, and anytime you're on campus, please feel free to stop in and meet with any of us. Justin?
I'm Justin Davis. I'm a financial aid counselor. I've been here just over 8 years. And that's about it. Sergio?
My name is Sergio Rosales. I'm a financial aid counselor here at the University of Northern Colorado, and I've been here about 8 months.
And Sergio, you are a UNC alum.
And I am also a University of Northern Colorado alumni.
Awesome. So it looks like we're getting some questions from everyone. We'll go ahead and get the ball rolling. Our first question is Justin. Justin, what are the financial aid deadline?
The priority deadline for the FAFSA in Colorado is March 1st. It's best to get it in before March 1st to get the best available state aid that's available to you. It's best to get it done anytime after that as well, just so that you have a good idea of an award package, so that you know what's coming towards the time school is up. So it's best to get it done if you haven't done it now, just to get it done as soon as possible so that we can get an award package out there and ready for you. If for future years, if you don't have it done before March 1st, it's best to do so the best way you can. You can do the FAFSA before federal taxes are done. So in the future, if you did not meet that priority date, you definitely want to try. But definitely do it just as soon as possible, just so you have a good idea of what your award package is going to be. But there really is no specific date. You just want to do it as quickly as possible at this point, so you know what your award package is going to be.
Awesome. All right, so our next question is for Marty. Do you have to do your taxes before completing the FAFSA?
Well, Justin kind of alluded to that. It is not necessary to have your taxes done to get the FAFSA in. As Justin stated, you definitely want to meet that March 1st deadline. Most people don't have their taxes done by that March 1st priority deadline. It is definitely okay to estimate. We and the federal government ask that families do a reasonable guesstimate, that they don't just throw down any old numbers, but that they use maybe the previous year tax information to get it going. But again, the key thing is to make sure you meet the March 1st priority deadline, even using estimated data. And then once your taxes are done, you are able to go back in and update your FAFSA by doing a data retrieval tool in the FAFSA, where the IRS and the federal FAFSA forms talk to each other. And once you file your taxes, then you can go back into your FAFSA and ask for that information to be updated. But definitely don't have to have your taxes done. Unfortunately, we do see a lot of people who think that's the case, and they do miss that priority deadline of March 1st, and that can impact the type of financial aid a family has available to them. So just to use a reasonable estimate and get that FAFSA in as soon as you can, typically, as Justin was saying, by March 1st.
Alrighty, sounds good. This next question is for Sergio. Where can I apply for aid?
I'm sorry, go ahead and repeat that again.
Where can I apply for aid?
Well, primarily, as Justin was mentioning, it would be the free application for federal student aid, and you can find that on fafsa.ed.gov. And so you would again fill that out. And speaking in, I guess, UNC terms, there is a universal scholarship application. There's a primary deadline of March 1st, but students can still log in and complete that application. So those are the two primary ways to apply for financial aid.
And Sergio, just to emphasize what you said about the .ed.gov, there is a .com site that will not actually apply you for federal, state, or institutional aid. It is a helpful website with information about financial aid, but Sergio's point of the .ed.gov is a very critical component in applying for federal aid.
Correct. Thank you, Marty.
Alrighty, this next one is going to be for Justin. What exactly do I need to fill out that FAFSA?
It's best to have, if you have them done, the tax returns. This year that'd be 2014 tax returns. W-2s, student if you worked, parent tax returns, and W-2s, social security numbers, driver's license number, if that is somewhat needed. Bank statements are somewhat needed on various parts of it.
Yeah.
I believe that's pretty much it. Like Marty was saying, the IRS does bring a lot of the information directly over to the FAFSA, so it will autofill a lot of that information to you. But initially, that is the information that is generally needed to get a good start with the FAFSA.
Alrighty. And then this question for Sergio. Do I need to fill out FAFSA every single year?
Correct. So you do want to complete the FAFSA application every year. The FAFSA, so for example, the FAFSA application coming up 15-16 will cover from fall of August 2015 to the end of summer of 2016. So yes, every year you want to complete your FAFSA application before the March 1st deadline, which is very crucial.
Alrighty, and this question is for Marty. When can I expect an award letter from you?
Typically this time of year, if you fill your FAFSA out and you've used actual IRS data and you've been able to pull that information in, usually within 2 weeks from the time you hit submit to the government, you should receive an email through your Bear email telling you that your financial aid awards are out there and what you might be eligible for. If you happen to be one of the unlucky souls who gets picked for audit, or what they call verification in the financial aid world, which means the school has to ask for follow-up information on the family, then it's typically a 2-week turnaround time from the time that the student submits the last piece of required information as asked for by the government. So usually this time of year it can be a pretty quick turnaround, a couple weeks. If it's been longer than that, it never hurts to send an email, call the office, or come on by just to make sure you're not missing something that you think is all said and done, but there is still something as a hang-up type of thing. But typically it'll be a pretty quick turnaround time within a couple of weeks from hitting submission.
Okay. Our next question, Justin. How do you find out the cost of attendance to know the amount of loans you take out?
The cost of attendance we use is based on a number of factors. The most important ones being the fact that your UNC bill is going to be made up of just tuition fees, room and board, which we have pretty good estimates of. But like this year's, we have the tuition fees, room and board are going to be your only UNC direct costs. We also include a book estimate that's actually given to us by the state. And then included with that, we figure books as not a fee to UNC, but a definite something that's going to be a cost. In that, we also include other miscellaneous expenses, personal expenses up just for students to go out and do things, personal expenses, stuff like that. So you'll see our expected family contribution being somewhat higher than our just tuition fees, room and board, and then the expected cost of textbooks. So it's hard to really say until you get an award letter to see what kind of grant monies might come in, if loans are going to be needed. So our expected contribution does include things beyond just the price of tuition fees, the residence halls, the meal plan, and what we really isn't a UNC cost, but we consider a set cost because books are just a needed expense.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next question is going to be for Sergio. How long do we have to accept or decline the financial aid award?
Well, I would do it as soon as possible, but we do give about 20 days to accept the award letter once it's offered.
We can be lenient with that if the family has things going on or needs some extra time to make some decisions. We do put a deadline out there, Sergio said, of 20 days to get people thinking about it and moving on it. But we'll gladly work with a family if they needed a little more time than the 20 days.
Sounds good. This question is going to be for you, Marty. What if your family is in a bad financial status and taking out loans seems very unwise? What else can the student do to help pay for college?
Well, the one thing you want to do is you don't want to leave any stone unturned. You want to reach out to local civic organizations. You want to reach out to places of worship. Our office is working on a letter that we would give to students as a template if they didn't know how to go about reaching out to maybe their church or parent employer, asking for other types of funding availability. But again, it's leave no stone unturned. Check all through your high school counseling office for your local scholarships. There are a lot of web search programs that families do need to be a little bit leery of or careful of. A couple websites that are out there that are good, legitimate websites are fastweb.com, collegeincolorado.org, and those are legitimate sites. The thing with a legitimate site is they're never going to ask you for personal information. They're never going to ask you for a social security number. They're never going to ask you for a credit card. And you should explore as many of those types of websites and opportunities as you can find out there. But just be very careful of the different scams. There is an app that was featured on Shark Tank called Scally, and I think it's 99 cents. And it's one that I've downloaded and just played around with a little bit, and it looks pretty promising. So for finding outside scholarships, those would be some of the ways you could do it. Again, reaching out to places of employment, places of worship, local organizations, those types of things are a good way to try to find additional funds. Also, though, you can't be afraid of student loans in this day and age. If you believe in yourself and you know you're going to graduate and you have a desire to go to school, I think anybody and everybody who's taken out student loans, including myself and my own children, it is a necessary evil to help yourself get better in life. It's an investment in yourself, and if you believe in yourself, then don't be afraid of the loans, but also don't be afraid to reach out to other organizations to try to find alternative ways of funding your education besides just those loans. Also, don't be afraid to work when you're on campus either. You'd be surprised with even a minimum wage job working 15 to 20 hours a week over a course of a 32-week school year. The student can earn some pretty decent money towards the bill or towards some of those living expenses that Justin was talking about. It can help buy some of the textbooks or pay for the laundry soap or some of those types of things. So this day and age, again, you're going to have to make some tough decisions on loans, but I wouldn't be afraid of them. But I think anybody is very wise to think long and hard about how much they are going to borrow and try to use all those other resources first.
Okay. This is actually a related question coming from Zuriel. How do we apply for student loans, and how do we know how much to apply for? Marty, why don't you take that question?
Sure. Again, as a follow-up, you do have to do for the federal student loans, which are by and large the best loans that are going to be out there for the student, because you don't have to have good credit, and most young individuals haven't established a credit rating or anything yet. So the federal student loans are the best loans out there. But to get them, you have to do the FAFSA.ed.gov that we talked about before. And then from there, the school will let you know what type of loans and how much you're eligible for in those federal student loans in the student name. And the first time through, then the student does have to actually go through some entrance counseling with the federal government to say, here's what you're getting into, here are the terms of your loans, here's the repayment on your loans. And so there will be a follow-up to the FAFSA. Most people do the FAFSA. School says to them, hey, you're eligible for, say, $5,500 in government loans. They think they're done a lot of times, but the first time through, the government will make them actually go out to another website called studentloans.gov and complete the entrance counseling, as well as the actual master promissory note, or the actual paperwork, electronic, of course, to get the loan underway. So it's a twofold thing. It's doing the FAFSA, and then it's actually applying for the loans and going through the entrance counseling. Now, the determinant of the how much, again, that goes back to how Justin was talking about trying to estimate how much it's going to cost to go to UNC. We believe our estimates on our award letters are fairly decent estimates. Are you receiving any free money? Subtract those out. And then the difference would be what you could possibly have to borrow in a student loan, or looking at a parent loan if the student loan amounts they let you borrow aren't quite enough to cover the bill. So we've been talking about student loans, but there are also federal loans in the parent name. The parent does have to be credit worthy to get those. And again, I guess with that question, we would gladly work with any family, whether they call in, email, or come on in, which is always preferred to meet face to face and sit down and try to come up with an estimated bill before the bills are actually out. Look at your financial aid and try to give some one-on-one advice on how much to borrow.
Okay, this next question is for Justin. How long does it take counselor verification on IRSA?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
How long does it take for counselor verification on IRSA?
Takes approximately about 2 weeks. Is this a question we had previously or not?
Somewhat similar.
Somewhat similar? Okay. Yeah, once we have all the proper documentation in, it generally takes about 2 weeks turnaround time. Somewhat like Marty had said previously, if a student is selected for verification, which can be tax transcripts, if the data retrieval type stuff through the FAFSA and the IRS, one of our worksheets that we use, we hope to have it around 2 weeks turnaround until we're able to get an award package out there.
The only thing I would say with that, Justin and Sergio, and I think you would agree, is don't wait till the school year is right around the corner to do it. Get that stuff into us. The sooner the better. You get it into us now, we can turn it around pretty quickly. You start waiting till August to get it turned in, as students are starting to show up in larger numbers, then it can be a little more disconcerting and take a little bit longer. So, but if you can get it into us sooner rather than later, we can usually turn it around pretty quickly, because we got great counselors to crank on those verifications and finish up that paperwork.
Okay. This next question is going to be Theo. In my award letter, cost of attendance is that my individual cost of attendance after scholarships and grants, or is that the cost of attendance for everyone?
So the cost of attendance, it's pretty much a budget that we create on, the average cost. So to answer the question, no, it's not the exact cost or what will be billed to you. As Justin said, that cost of attendance includes personal expenses, books, and of course your tuition and fees, and room and board, which will be charged to the student bill.
I believe typically the student bills come out in late July, early August, and those will then specify exactly how much the tuition and fees will be for the student's class schedule, as well as then reflect the exact cost for the room and board that the student has. But again, we're trying to get kind of a middle of the road estimate when you see those award letters.
Correct.
Okay. This next question is for Marty. If I applied for FAFSA before the priority deadline but was asked to verify, do I still qualify for priority financial aid?
Bryson, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it, because there's a lot of confusion about that too at times. if you apply by the priority deadline of March 1st, you will be considered on time. If you have to complete the verification, as we've talked about, with either turning in a tax transcript or doing the data retrieval, there will be an eventual date where we run out of money, but as long as the family tries to get those things done in May, June, July, hopefully at the latest, should not be any problem with that student being eligible for what we have to offer as far as on-time applications go. But the further out you delay it, it does run the risk of some funds or work study or certain loan funds running out. So again, it comes back to always better to get that stuff into us sooner than later, but definitely just being selected for verification and not having it in right away is not an issue. You can be still considered a on-time applicant and get very good financial aid. Just get us that stuff sooner rather than later.
Okay, great. This question is going to be for Justin. My family funds exceed my 4 years, that I still receive a loan. Can you give insight to that?
The expected family contribution is really just based on the 1 year's FAFSA. It's just like this year. It's just based on just 2014. The expected family contribution is just based on just the 1 year. So you can kind of disregard that number. It's what the government, or the Department of Ed rather, thinks that your family, what they feel that you can contribute to a college, a university, any university. So it's sometimes misleading as how it's spelled out. But basically the feds use the expected family contribution to figure Pell. Schools, all schools, universities, use that to figure then other types of need, state need, other types of need. But it is a year-by-year process. The expected family contribution is just for this 15-16 academic year. Loans are based on, everybody is offered loans regardless of the expected family contribution.
And Justin, can you explain what Pell is? Mention that.
The Pell Grant basically is for if your expected family contribution was below 5,100 and some, basically you become eligible for the federal Pell Grant, and it's just purely one-to-one. If your Pell is this, the feds will give you this. Nothing that the state or UNC has control over. It's just if your Pell is this amount, the feds will give you this amount, purely based off the FAFSA expected family contribution.
Okay. Next question. I got a call saying I was rewarded the FAFSA and that I would be getting a packet email, but I still haven't gotten it. How can I find out what grants and loans I got? Marty wants to take that.
Sure. First off, IRSA, hopefully most people know what IRSA is by now. If not, IRSA is the portal to all things UNC, where you can go in and see what financial aid has been made available to you, or if there's still outstanding requirements where we still need a W-2 or something like that. You can see those types of things on your IRSA, and you can definitely see when financial aid is awarded out there. For new students, we do mail out a packet that gives some basic information that we've been talking about what you might be eligible for, the estimated cost to attend school for a year. So if you haven't received that and somebody told you would, it's definitely worth an email, phone call, and again, a campus visit if you can, to come on in and see, did it get lost in the mail? Did you have a forwarding address issue, or is there something hanging it up still? Is there still something missing? So, but by and large, you should be able to look and see what you're eligible for on your IRSA. We do mail out a packet, but if you haven't got it yet and somebody told you would, and it's been more than a week or so, definitely worth a follow-up phone call, email, come in person, and we can take a look at your account to see if there's a hang-up or if it just got lost in the mail. In my office, I have a stack. It's not a huge stack, but I do have a stack of returned award letter information. So it does happen where families move, or the street address got plugged in wrong into the university system and it just gets returned. So definitely worth following up on to see where things stand.
Alrighty. Next question, Sergio from Carlos. I only got student loans, but I can't afford it. I was wondering if you can provide us with things to make it more affordable, or if there's anything else I can do to help pay for college.
Well, there's a couple of things. As Marty mentioned, I would certainly not stop looking for any other types of financial aid. Definitely reach out to those organizations that Marty mentioned earlier. But I mean, if the FAFSA application pretty much reflects an accurate financial picture of your family, we can certainly, look at it. I would certainly suggest for Carlos to contact myself at the financial aid office just so I can, specifically see what's going on with his account.
Yeah, a lot of times families will make simple errors on their FAFSA that can make a situation seem like there's more money there than not. So yeah, good suggestion of contacting us if you think that there may have been an error made, just so that we can double check it to make sure it is that true, accurate reflection.
Okay, and real quick, we have a question for Marty. What are the most common questions that you get in the financial aid office?
It's interesting. Some of the most common questions we get in the financial aid office have nothing to do with financial aid at all. They actually have to do with more just families trying to figure out how to get into college and a university setting in general. And we don't certainly mind answering those questions, because we know probably over in housing they are getting a financial aid question. We do try to dole out the questions to the area of experts, but in all honesty, the most common questions we get in financial aid are about how do I sign up for orientation, what are my housing and meal plan type of options. If you get to financial aid specific questions, it would be the how do I apply, which is, of course, what Sergio said with the FAFSA.ed.gov, and then a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, rightfully so, on student loan borrowing, how much is too much to borrow, as well as questions about can I work on campus. And yes, we have lots of work study opportunities on campus, and if a family and a student doesn't qualify for work study, we still have a lot of what we call hourly employment, where just different departments hire students as hourly workers. I would think those would be kind of the most common ones. What do you guys get as counselors?
Well, to go with the job question, where can I get a job? We do have a good website. I believe it's www.unco.edu/careers connection, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so the website, it's good because it pretty much, if you're looking for a job, it has, work study positions that other employers let our careers service or career office know, that they're looking for jobs, and they'll be posting them up there in case students want, to be employed on campus. So
what question do you get the most?
I'd say a lot of times it's if people's 2014 information and stuff that you actually have to put on the FAFSA. If 2015, if financial family situations such as loss of job, divorce, something like that, if things have drastically changed, people often call in to talk to a counselor to see, the feds do give us some leeway to see if there's anything that is able to be done in those situations. There is some wiggle room that we're able to do. If the 2014, it just does not apply. There's also some line items with the new data retrieval tool. That gets very kind of technical if I go into it too much, regarding people's retirements, accounts, rollovers, stuff like that. But yeah, basically if situations have changed drastically from 2015 to what is actually showing on the FAFSA, if you have any questions about those, definitely feel free to call a counselor about it and see what we can possibly do, what the Department of Ed will allow us to do.
Okay, and Sergio, since you mentioned work study, we got a question, how do I apply or go about work study?
Well, work study is part of the financial aid award letter that is offered to the student. So work study is pretty much offered to the student on the award letter.
And then again, don't forget that any student can apply to work hourly on campus if they don't have work study. In fact, I think there's probably 2 to 3 times as many students who work on campus just under hourly employment than there are quote unquote work study. But work study does give the student a little bit of a leg up, since the money that's being spent on their hourly wage comes from the federal or state government versus, for instance, my own office budget.
Aside from the career services website, which many of the hourly employers post, some of the larger employers like dining halls, dining services, the rec center, the library, they don't post their positions because they have so many people. So even if you don't find a job that looks good on the career services website, those types of positions, they don't even post them because they hire so many people, and they do have quite a bit of turnover. So it'd be good to look at those as well, just to stop by and see if they're hiring.
Yeah, I always say that the way to get a work study job or an hourly student employment job on campus is the same as in the real world. You go out, you knock on the door, you introduce yourself, you come prepared with a resume to leave, and try to make an impression in the short amount of time that you have, realizing you're competing with 8,000, 9,000 other students. So you have to do something to set yourself apart on campus, just as you would off campus and in the real world, because this is the real world.
It's good, yeah. And I always, from a student perspective, I always suggest just out looking for those jobs. Not waiting until you get to school in August. Definitely good to do that. Touch on the student employment. Have another question real quick. How do we know if we receive a scholarship through the Universal Scholarship application? And maybe explain just kind of a little bit more in depth of what the Universal Scholarship application is.
Yeah, well, the Universal Scholarship application pretty much puts you in a pool of scholarships, and after you apply, it matches you up to the best likely scholarships that you were to receive or you're eligible for. And so after the committees meet up, starting now all the way through the summer, they'll pretty much make a decision on who they want to award those funds to. And so students should be receiving notifications all through the summer if they received their any scholarships through that specific Universal Scholarship application.
Yeah, always be checking your Bear email, because that'll be the official notification process for UNC of a scholarship offer. So definitely want to make a habit of checking your URSA, going into your URSA and checking your Bear email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Marty asked me this a little bit. I have another question for somebody just tuning in. Well, FAFSA application asks for a fee. What does it cost to apply for the FAFSA?
Hey, Bryson, and good. I'm glad that somebody asked that question again, because the FAFSA.ed.gov website is the website that a student would apply for federal, state, and UNC aid, and there is never a fee for doing that. If you're on a website that is asking you for a fee, definitely do not participate in it. Any of the services that those folks may be able to offer you for a fee, you could come up, save that money, come up for pay for gas and have lunch and work with one of our great counselors. And I guarantee you, you will get a lot more out of working with an individual financial aid counselor than you would paying a fee to any service. But definitely for FAFSA, you do not pay a fee. And again, if you're doing those scholarship searches, besides the 99 cents for like the Scholly app that I mentioned earlier, you shouldn't be having to put out any money whatsoever to apply for federal, state, or institutional aid.
Okay. And another question for Sergio. Can you just explain kind of what for our viewers that don't know what it is, the IRSA platform, just kind of what that looks like, where you would go when you log in to find your financial information?
For sure. So once you go on IRSA, you pretty much, you would log in with your IRSA credentials, and if you don't have them, you can certainly contact IT so they can provide those for you. But once you log in, there are a couple of tabs on the top of the screen, and we would be under Financial. Go ahead and click on that, and at the bottom right-hand corner, you should see Financial Aid Award Package. Click on that, and do know that you need to click on or agree to the terms and conditions before the actual financial aid award letter is visible. So keep that in mind. But yeah, that's where you would find the financial aid award letter.
Alrighty, so it looks like that was our last question. Do you guys have anything to add for our viewers? Anything else for you?
Well, just let us know. Feel free. Don't hesitate to contact us at 970-351-2502 at the Financial Aid Office. Again, my name is Sergio Rosales. I'm a financial aid counselor, and I'm happy to work with you.
Yeah, I'm Justin Davis, also a counselor. Feel free to get in touch with me anytime.
And I'm Marty Samaro. And again, thank you all today for your questions and for listening to us. And we just invite you up to campus. Again, I always say that we're great in trying to get back to emails within 24 to 48 hours. Phone calls, sometimes the queue gets a little long when it's busy, but phone works. But nothing beats coming up to campus because, one, it's a beautiful campus, and two, you can sit down with people one-on-one, face-to-face, and go through this stuff to kind of demystify it, to take the complexity out of it, to work with somebody that then you can feel confident about reaching out to them with future questions and things too. And then the only other thing I would say is if you do happen to ever call in and that's the way you got to do it because you're out of town or out of state, always take the name of the counselor that you're working with. We try to make notes in our system so that if a student talks to Justin, he'll go in and make some notes. But it always is very helpful for you as the student or the family. Get the name of who you've talked to, and maybe if you felt a good connection with that person or that counselor, stay in touch with them throughout the process if you have follow-up or further questions. And I'm certainly always available too via email, phone, or if you want to come up to campus, we'd love to have you come and visit. And we'd love to have you as a Bear, and we're here to help you as best we can.
Go Bears.
Alrighty, and then as a student ambassador, I wanted to personally thank everyone for joining us today and want to remind you that our financial aid office is open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. You can also contact them by phone 970-351-2502. Also remember, when we're doing these next sessions, please use that hashtag UNC Talks anytime for those questions, and we look forward to seeing you at our next session. Go Bears. Go Bears.